What's going on, guys and girls, all who subscribe? Chris Pearson here with you. This is going to be a jam-packed video. It's the first one I know I've done in a very long time, and I apologize for that, but I have been a very busy guy over these past couple of weeks. I was on vacation in South Carolina. If you follow my Twitter account, which I was tweeting a lot during the vacation, you guys know that already. Again, at Pearsonator. I was on day trips after I got back from vacation. I was in Terre Haute for a day. I was in Monticello for a day for my birthday. So that was kind of crazy. I went to the movie theater twice last week. Saw 2 movies. One was good, one the other decent but not great. So a lot had been going on, and that's why I've been kind of away from doing videos for a while. But I'm back, at least now that fantasy football time is right around the corner. I've been giving you guys updates on the channel that my fantasy draft was coming up, and I did have it last Saturday. So this video is going to contain a lot of information on a lot of different things. Obviously, the main reason for this video is to break down my draft, as I've done every year. I break down who I got, who was there, what kind of the trend, at least for my draft. Now, all drafts are going to be different. Mock drafts are different. So basically, what happened in my draft might not necessarily happen in yours, but it's kind of, it could be a recurring theme here on out as well. So just keep that in mind. Practice, if you haven't held your draft yet, practice with mock drafts, see what the trends are. Try different locations of where you're picking. That way you know what could be available to you when you pick. Also, let's see, besides all the stuff I did 2 weeks ago, also I was battling with a cold. I'm still recovering from that. And yesterday someone must have got water in my ear. Now I'm dealing with an ear issue. So I'm dealing with a lot of things. So just bear with me. The main thing in this video is the post-draft breakdown, but also I want to talk about on here, I'm also going to talk about the recent video game charts and the breakdown, my observations from that, and also I'm going to kind of give you my thoughts on tonight's ESPY Awards for ESPN, my picks for who I think is going to win the awards, who I voted for. So a lot really to discuss in this video, so I want to get to it as quick as possible, so let's just get right into it. At the end of the day, when my draft was completed, again, I was very, very ecstatic about the team that I had put together. Myself, my co-owners, Nate and Matt, who've seen on the stock report before, I was just thrilled with the team that we put together. Now, a couple of the trends that I saw, at least in the mock drafts, that really led to the way that we drafted on draft night. The early picks you'll find are going to be running backs, a couple of the elite quarterbacks are going to go early, wideouts, and maybe even a couple of the elite tight ends. Like the first 4 rounds you're going to find that those are going to be the guys that are kind of come off the board really, really early. So the first 4 rounds you really want to focus on those positions, getting at least, running back, at least getting 1 or 2 good running backs, your top wide receiver, maybe a top tight end in that group. Now, quarterback, the thing, though, is like you can go for a top quarterback if you want. The only downside, though, is going to leave you, I think, really starved for depth at the other positions because you can wait on a quarterback this year. The quarterback grouping is so deep this year that you don't have to get one of the top guys to have a solid pairing of quarterbacks. So, but you probably don't want to go beyond round 7, at least for a quarterback. So just keep that in mind as you're drafting as well. So let's see, what else? Oh, DSTs, in terms of defense, the top units are probably going to go as early as round 7, 8. Now, there was one guy in my league that actually grabbed the Seahawks DST in round 3. That's kind of an anomaly That normally doesn't happen very often, but normally in drafts that I've done in the past, you'll find that they start going kind of around round 7, round 8, maybe even round 9. So just keep that in mind as you're searching for your defensive unit as well. The kicker usually doesn't go till late in the drafts. That's probably a general rule of thumb. And when you're really drafting in the early rounds, you want to draft your starters first, and then you want to draft for depth in the later rounds. So that's really what you're kind of, at least with your main skill positions like your quarterback, your running backs, your wideouts, your tight ends. So that's really what you really want to focus on. Oh, and be aware of the bye weeks. At the end of the day, and this can happen to me, this can happen to anyone if they don't watch it enough. I did end up having to address some bye week issues and scenarios that I would have players with the same amount of bye weeks, and I'd have to switch that out. So just keep that in mind. Pay attention to a player's bye week as you're looking at who's on the draft board, who you've already drafted, and just keep that in mind so that way you don't fall into that trap. And having players with the same bye week, so you have to scramble before that week comes up. So just keep that in mind as you're drafting. So basically, just kind of going through my draft results. I found in the mock drafts that normally, and I was picking 6th this year, right in the middle of the draft. So I thought the first 5 picks. I tended to find that in the mock drafts it was Jamal Charles, LaShawn McCoy, Matt Forte, AP, and either maybe an Eddie Lacy coming off the board in the top 5, essentially leaving me with Calvin Johnson, the top wide receiver. Well, in my draft, it changed up a little bit. Yes, Jamal Charles went number 1, but then the second guy went ahead and got Calvin Johnson, so that eliminated him right away. So then after that was McCoy, Forte, and then the 5th guy, picking 5th, got Peyton Manning. So that left me with with not a whole lot of options. I mean, the same thing for me, I think, would have be to go running back. I could have got a top tight end. I could have got a top quarterback. But I figure at this point, again, with these early picks, wanting to have a solid running back and wide receiver to start with, I went ahead and took Adrian Peterson. And the guys, AP has been outstanding for my team before. I drafted him in the year he was coming off that knee injury, which had an outstanding season, really paid dividends for my team, and I'm hoping for the same results again this year. So that was huge. After that, then Jimmy Graham went, another top tight end off the board, went following my pick. Drew Brees, there went Eddie Lacy to 9th. Monty Ball of Denver, running back. I don't know why there's so much fuss over Monty Ball. He was a complete bust for my team last year. I'm not sure why there's so much hype surrounding him this year. I'll let someone else deal with him and maybe his potential disappointment, but I don't understand what the fuss is all about regarding him. And then Arian Foster went 11th, and then Aaron Rodgers was the last pick of the first round. So second round, then I wanted to focus on getting a top wideout at this point. I knew I could wait on quarterback. I knew that I could wait a little bit for tight ends. It's only one and gone so far, so I knew that I was still sitting in a pretty good position there. Then you had DeMarco Murray go. Demaryius Thomas of Denver went. So that was a top wideout target that was already gone. Gio Bernard of Cincinnati, I would have liked to have him as a second running back, but I figured he'd go early. A.J. Green was quickly gone. Brandon Marshall, Beast Mode, Marshawn Lynch, who I had last year, went to pick before I did. So I would have loved to have Peterson and Lynch together on the same team, but didn't quite work out that way. So at this point, with that in mind, I figured at this point I'd go top wide receiver since a lot of the top ones were coming off the board, like Thomas, like Green, like Marshall. So I went ahead and got Dez Bryant of Dallas. Look, he's been Tony Romo's top weapon for at least the last couple seasons now. He's really starting to come into a big play receiver in Dallas. So I really didn't hesitate when it came to making that selection. And I knew then that even later on in the draft, this even gave me more incentive to wait on quarterback because I knew that Romo would be available in the later rounds to pair him up with that 1-2 combination. So I figured that'd be even more beneficial in selecting Bryant at that point. So that was, to me, that was a huge pick for my team. After Bryant went Le'Veon Bell of Pittsburgh, Alfred Morris of Washington. So backs continued this trend. Bell, Alfred Morris, Doug Martin of Tampa Bay, who has done well for my team in the past. Zach Stacy of St. Louis. There's been a lot of talk with Zach Stacy about that he might not end up being the starter in St. Louis, and I don't know. I mean, St. Louis doesn't have much in terms of a backfield anyway, so it would really shock me if Zach Stacy was not the starter come the season opener. But again, time will tell. Julio Jones of Atlanta, the wideout, then ended the second round. He was huge for my team last year, albeit briefly, before he went down with that foot injury. So that's obviously a concern for those of you who want to draft Julio Jones. But obviously, he's still a big play weapon in Atlanta. I wouldn't hesitate on drafting him if you have the opportunity, as long as he's fully recovered from that injury. So then round 3 came along, and at this point, I really felt like, okay, I had my top running back, I had my top wide receiver. I thought at this point it was time to really go after an elite tight end because Graham was already off the board. So I really had to consider that when my pick came around again. Before me went Andre Ellington, the running back out of Arizona, who I think is going to have a really big year. Frank Gore, Jordy Nelson, the Green Bay wideout, Antonio Brown, the Pittsburgh wideout, and then there went the Seahawks DST, round 3. Again, a rare anomaly, but when you really think about it, is it really, considering the fact that the Seahawks D was so insane last year? Maybe not, but I think it left a lot of us scratching our heads. And the surprising thing was that was an auto pick. That wasn't made by the guy himself. So apparently he had the Seahawks DST high on his draft board. So that's what it took him. So I was quite surprised to see that. But at the end of the day, that's what he got, and he's hoping that it pays off for him. But it's definitely an odd thing, at least in most leagues, to take a DST that early. But hey, if it's one as good as Seattle, maybe it pays off. So then at that point, with that in mind, and knowing that I had a top running back, a top wideout, not wanting to miss on a top tight end, I went ahead and took Julius Thomas out of Denver. He has quickly become a huge weapon for Peyton Manning's offense in Denver. Now, of course, and the fact that he lost Eric Decker, but still has Demaryius Thomas, still has Wes Welker. So I think it's just going to give him more opportunities, especially in the red zone. So that, I think, was huge for me, and I was very, very satisfied with that selection. After that went Bishop Sankey, the running back of Tennessee, the rookie out of Washington, who's probably going to be the lead guy now that Chris Johnson is gone with the Jets. Randall Cobb, the Green Bay wideout, is going to be gone off draft boards early. Reggie Bush, the Detroit running back. Alshon Jeffrey, the Chicago wideout, who I let go way too early last year. I thought about getting Jeffrey, but at the end of the day, I thought I can't let a good tight end slip away. I knew I could get a second wide receiver later if I waited. That was still strong stuff. So, but he's going to be gone early. And then the third round ended with Ryan Matthews, the San Diego running back, and Larry Fitzgerald, the big play weapon in Arizona. So then round 4 came around, and then that started off with C.J. Spiller, the Buffalo running back, Gronk, a top tight end as well, who's always strong, but of course his injury history is always a question mark. Matthew Stafford, the Detroit quarterback, Andrew Luck. So quarterbacks started going at this point. Stevan Ridley, the New England running back, Michael Crabtree, the San Francisco wideout, all went before my pick. So at this point, then I really had to think, at this point, again, I had a top running back, top wideout, top tight end. And I thought about what I got with Dez Bryant, and I knew that I could wait on quarterback, but at the same time, I didn't want to miss out on getting Bryant's quarterback in Tony Romo. So I took Romo in round 4, hoping that pairing pays off. It worked wonders for the time that I had it last year with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. So I'm hoping that same technique pays off again this year. with Tony Romo and Des Bryant. The concern, of course, with Romo is his injury history, with all that number of injuries he's had. But when he's healthy, he still puts up really, really good numbers. He's got weapons there. Terrence Williams is emerging as a strong number 2 receiver. He's still got Jason Witten. So even though he lost Miles Austin, so still a lot to like about Tony Romo in Dallas. So I had to nab him. Excuse me, with that 4th round pick. Like I said, you're gonna have to bear with me. After Romo went, there was Rashad Jennings, the running back of the Giants, who broke out last year. V-Jack, Vincent Jackson in Tampa Bay. Andre Johnson, the wideout of Houston, went in round 4. I was kind of surprised that he went so early because there's obviously a lot of talk surrounding Andre Johnson, the fact with his contract, that he might hold out in training camp. The Texans aren't going to trade him, but he's holding out, so a lot to dissect there with that situation. Just keep that in mind when you're thinking about drafting Andre Johnson. Then Vernon Davis, the San Francisco tight end who we had last year, and then Pierre Garçon, the Redskins wideout as well. Round 5. At this point, I really wanted my second wideout here because a lot of wideouts went before my pick. The first 2 are quarterbacks, Colin Kaepernick, Tom Brady, 2 very solid starting quarterback options. So again, you can see why you can wait for quarterback because Kaepernick and Brady can be available in round 5. So that just shows how you can wait on quarterback a little bit. Then wideouts went like crazy. Keenan Allen, Cordero Patterson in Minnesota, who a lot of people really like this season. I mentioned Terrence Williams of Dallas. He went. And then I nabbed Wes Welker of Denver. And again, another Denver weapon for Peyton Manning. I couldn't pass up on him. He's been just so strong in Denver with Manning there. So I really, really like that pick. And now at this point, I was really, really solid on my wide receivers. Then after that, more wideouts went. Michael Floyd of Arizona. Another quarterback went, Jay Cutler of Chicago, who again could also be a solid starter. Victor Cruz of the Giants. Roddy White of Atlanta. Emmanuel Sanders of Denver, another Denver target as well, who is quickly coming up strong. Percy Harvin of Seattle. He went rather quickly. So a lot of wideouts went in round number 5. Round 6, at this point, I really wanted to focus on getting my second running back that I was going to start on a weekly basis. Jason Witten from Dallas, the tight end, went in this round along with Golden Tate, Julian Edelman of New England, Jordan Cameron, the tight end from Cleveland, Mike Wallace, and Torrey Smith went in this round before I picked. My second running back, I got Toby Gerhart from Jacksonville. And right now, I know Jacksonville, again, their offense, not elite by any stretch, but they're growing. They now have a new quarterback in Blake Bortles there with Chad Henne. They still have Cecil Shorts at wideout, but their running backs are mostly a bunch of young guys. Now, they still have Jordan Todman there who filled in nicely last year. MJD is gone. So now Gerhart has the look of a starter, and he looks like he's going to be the main guy in Jacksonville. So that's why I took a chance on Gerhart as my second running back. He's been backup to AP before. So I think he's going to get the vast majority of the work. So it was a risk, but it's one I'm willing to take, and I hope that it pays off at the end of the day. After Gerhart, went Deshaun Jackson, the wideout from Washington. Different scenery for him after leaving Philadelphia. Dennis Pitta, the tight end out of Baltimore. Nick Foles, the quarterback from Philly. Another start-worthy quarterback. Marcus Colston and Jeremy Maclin from Philadelphia went in that round. In round number 7, in this round, I got T.Y. Hilton for another solid third wide receiver option. I'm really impressed with the wide receivers that were available. The wide receiver class is also very, very deep. He's definitely emerging as a top talent in Indianapolis. Now, obviously, in Indy, Reggie Wayne is back. Hakeem Nicks is now there. But I still think Hilton's going to get a lot of attention. Dante Moncrief, the rookie out of Ole Miss. So a lot of weapons for Andrew Luck to disperse the ball to, but I still think he'll a lot of work. So I think he's a solid number 3 option. Before that went Jordan Reed, the tight end of Washington, Ray Rice from Baltimore. Now, the only concern you have, of course, with Ray Rice is he might get a multi-game suspension for that assault at the start of the year. Don't know how many games yet he's going to be suspended for. Don't know when it's going to come down. But that's expected what's going to happen. So just keep that in mind before you consider drafting Ray Rice. Have some solid running back options with your team as well in case that happens. Greg Olsen, the Carolina tight end, went in that round. Matt Ryan, the Atlanta quarterback who I had last year, and Kendall Wright, the Tennessee wide receiver who I briefly had last year, who is really starting to come on as a strong weapon for the Tennessee Titans. After I drafted Hilton, RG3 went off the board. Kyle Rudolph, the Minnesota tight end. Marvin Jones, the Cincinnati wide receiver, second option after A.J. Green. Zach Ertz, the Philly tight end. Ben Roethlisberger, and kicker Matt Prater of Denver, a kicker in round 7. Again, you don't see that very often, but again, with the kicker, Prater's quality, it's a shot in the dark. Who knows if it might work out or not. But sometimes people make big reaches, and it pays off for them. So we'll see what happens there with that pick. Then in round 8, Cam Newton was still available in round 8. So again, you can see again how deep the quarterbacks are because Cam Newton is out there in round 8, and he is obviously a huge weapon. Shane Vereen, the running back in New England, who did great things last year before the wrist injury, was definitely a talent. Joyke Bell, Detroit, a nice flex option. Mason Crosby, the Green Bay kicker, again another kicker going in round 8. Pierre Thomas, the Saints running back, and then one pick before me, because I knew I was going to go second quarterback here because I wanted Russell Wilson of Seattle. I really wanted him in that spot. He went one pick before me, and I was like, ugh, so frustrating. Yeah, Russell Wilson available in round 8. I was surprised at that, but he was there. So instead, since I couldn't get Wilson, I got the next best guy. I got Phillip Rivers of San Diego. He has a lot of weapons there. He's got Keenan Allen. He's got the tight end weapons there. He's got Woodhead in the backfield.
So, still a lot of weapons for him to throw to. I think a nice, solid option to be paired with Romo. They both have really good schedules. So I think really at the end of the day, that actually kind of panned out rather nicely. Even though I didn't get Wilson, it was still a nice thing to fall back on. Rest of that round had Eric Ebron, the tight end out of Detroit, the rookie out of North Carolina. Trent Richardson, the Colts running back, should be better in his second year in the system after having a year under his belt. Chris Johnson, the Jets running back, new scenery for him. What will that be like? He'll probably be the starter there. Will it produce fantasy numbers? Time will tell. I'm hoping for better things from Chris Johnson. Carson Palmer, the Arizona quarterback, and then Ben Tate, also a change of scenery, the running back now with Cleveland, who will likely be the starter there for that messy Cleveland backfield. Then round 9, Steven Jackson of Atlanta went in this round, the running back. The 49ers DST was off the board. Maurice Jones-Drew now in Oakland to be the top running back there. He was available in round 9. Fred Jackson, the Buffalo running back, paired with Spiller. Kicker Stephen Gostkowski in New England. And then I drafted, and then I got back a guy that I really, really liked last year that was huge for me, and that was DW, Danny Woodhead. I got him back this year. The guy is just amazing. He can run the ball. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. I got Rivers. I got Woodhead. I got 2 Chargers now, so that was huge for me. The only concern a lot of people say is that with Donald Brown now there in the backfield, it might take away some touches from him, but I'm not too concerned about that. And, of course, Ryan Matthews is still the main guy there in San Diego, but they used Woodhead on passing downs, so I'm really, really looking forward to what he brings to the table again in round 9.
The Cardinals DST then went after that. Martellus Bennett, the Chicago tight end. Andy
Dalton, Terrence West, the Cleveland running back, the rookie out of Towson. I watched this kid play at Towson. The guy is fast. I mean, the guy works hard for runs. He's a beast. He's going to challenge Ben to anything for that starting job in Cleveland. So just keep him in mind. But, man, the guy was fun to watch in college. D'Angelo Williams of Carolina, and then Reggie Wayne went in round number 9. In round 10, Sammy Watkins, the Buffalo wideout, went in that round. Kerry Robinson, the Saints running back. Noshawn Moreno, the Dolphins running back now in Miami, but his knee issue is a concern with him right now. Just keep that in mind. Antonio Gates, the Charger tight end, went that round. Stephen Hauschka, the Seattle kicker. And then Darren Sproles, the running back now in Philadelphia, was going to give a nice dynamic to that backfield with LaShawn McCoy. In this round, I decided to go after my DST. The options were getting very thin at this point. But I got the Carolina Panthers DST, and I got them, interestingly, in a number of different mock drafts that I was in. So it kind of worked out for me that I got the Panthers. Strong front seven. The secondary is a concern with they lost their 2 main guys. They brought a lot of young guys to replace them, but hopefully that front seven will be strong enough to put up some good numbers going forward. After that, Devonta Freeman, running back Atlanta, Lamar Miller, the Miami running back, Eric Decker, now with the Jets, Riley Cooper, the Philly wide receiver who did big things for me last year, and Phil Dawson, the 49er kicker. And then round 11, Mike Evans, the Tampa Bay wide receiver, the rookie out of Texas A&M, who's expected to do some big things. LeGarrette Blount, now in Pittsburgh, the running back there. Brandon Cooks, the Saints wide receiver, the rookie. Ruben Randall, the Giants wide receiver. Christine Michael, the backup to Marshawn Lynch in Seattle. And I took my kicker in this round. I got Justin Tucker, the Baltimore kicker who basically put me in the championship game last year. I got him as my starter now, so that was, I think, a huge pick for me as well. And I got Anquan, and after that, Anquan Bolden of San Francisco. The Broncos DST went. Darren McFadden. When he's going to get injured this year, we don't know. He always does. Ladarius Green, the other San Diego tight end, went. Heath Miller and the Rams DST. Round 12, Patriots DST went. Kicker Matt Bryan of Atlanta. Kicker Shane Graham in New Orleans. The Bengals DST. The Bears DST went in this round. Adam Vinatieri. And at this point, I was going for depth. I was really hoping to get, some strong depth guys. I took Hakeem Nicks of the Colts with this pick, but again, this was my mistake. I realized that I had 2 guys now with Hilton and Nicks with the same bye week in Week 10. I didn't need 2 Colts receivers. I don't know why I did that at the end of the day. So I got Doug Baldwin of Seattle off of waivers. His bye is Week 4, so it doesn't contrast with that. So at the end of the day, I got rid of Nicks. Taylor, running back Arizona, went after that. Dan Bailey, Dallas kicker. Trey Mason, the rookie from St. Louis. Danny Amendola, and Chris Ivory, the Jets running back. Round 13, guys like Tavon Austin went. Dwayne Bowe, the Chiefs DST. Nick Novak, Josh Gordon. Don't know why you picked Josh Gordon when he's going to be suspended for the year, but I think the guy, though, finally got another guy and put him back on waivers, so that was smart. At that pick, I picked Delaney Walker, tight end Tennessee, but at the end of the day, I realized with Thomas, I didn't need a backup tight end. I got Bernard Pierce, running back for Baltimore, off waivers instead for added running back depth. Plus, I had a bye week issue with Peterson and Woodhead, same bye week in Week 10. So I had to fix that as well. Then after that, Brian Hartline, Jonathan Stewart, the Carolina running back, kicker Alex Henry from Philadelphia, Kenny Stills, Robbie Gould, the Chicago kicker, and Charles Clay, the tight end from Miami. Then the final round, Jeremy Hill, Cincinnati running back, the Bucks D, the Packers D, the Cowboys D,
Kicker Josh Brown of the Giants, Mike Tolbert, the Carolina running back. At that point, I took more wide receiver depth. I took Kelvin Benjamin, the rookie out of Carolina, but again, a lot of people not too high on him actually. So instead, I got Rod Streeter from Oakland, more of a veteran, a third-year breakout guy potentially off waivers for him. So I was happy with that. And then Jarrett Boykin, the Bills DST, kicker Caleb Sturgis, Sebastian Janikowski, and the Vikings DST were the final picks. So that was it. That was how the draft went down. So hopefully you guys noticed the trends. And again, practice in mock drafts. See what your league is doing as the draft goes along. Notice the different things that's going on, and hopefully you guys will put together a solid team yourself. So at the end of the day, my roster, Tony Romo and Phillip Rivers are my quarterbacks. My running backs are AP, Toby Gerhart, Danny Woodhead, and Bernard Pierce, who I hope will be the starter in Baltimore with this Rice thing going down with the suspension. Hopefully he's going to get a bulk of the work and be the main guy in Baltimore. Wide receivers. My wide receivers I love. They're all very solid guys, I think. Dez Bryant, Wes Welker, T.Y. Hilton, Doug Baldwin, and Rod Streeter. My tight end, Julius Thomas of Denver. My kicker, Justin Tucker of Baltimore. And the Panthers, DST. And this is a cool thing you can do, and I recommend this as well after I drafted, and then I made some changes. Go to here's a site you can get a free team rating from footballguys.com. This is a really neat site where you don't pay anything. All you do is you enter in your roster, your scoring system for your league, your information, your email address, and they actually right then on the spot they give you a breakdown of your team. They tell you where your strong point is, where your weaknesses are, how to make in-season moves, your schedule strength, your chance of making the playoffs. They do this all for you right here. So this was really cool. Basically, they said the same thing that I kind of said. My receivers are the strong point. Look good at tight end. I have to remain committed though to finding emergent players at running back and quarterback. So hopefully that will hopefully some gems will emerge off of waivers for that. But the bottom line, with great in-season management, 75% chance of making the playoffs. That's a pretty good number. So I'm really happy with that. With good management, 65%, and with average, 49%. So really, to me, I'm really happy with this team. Really good numbers. They break down your summary by position, schedule analysis, who you should start each week, projections and player summaries. So they have it all for you right here. Footballguys.com. I'm telling you, really good source if you want a full breakdown of your team after you draft. So I much recommend them to break down your team. So I'm hoping for big things as always this year, as I always do. I'm hoping to have a successful year. The league looks competitive as always, so I'm really looking forward to a very big year. All right, real quick, I just want to share my thoughts on the recent video game charts this week as well, and I will also share thoughts on the ESPY Awards. I don't know if I'd say resentment. Obviously, not getting hit across the head. So let me pull up the weekly chart here as well. We all think we're invincible, and we hear about people getting diagnosed with cancer all the time. Let's see. It's really going to happen to us, and so the timing obviously was awful. Did just land my dream job after 28 years as an assistant, and 3 weeks into the season, here you are, laying in the hospital bed, getting pumped full of chemo, trying to battle off APL. So, not resentment, but obviously, disappointed that you're not on. So, a look at the chart this week. Top game. No real surprise, because now with there not being a whole lot of new titles out there, it's going to be a real battle for the top spot each week. But Mario Kart 8 still doing well for Wii U. Another 44,000 plus copies this week. It's now over 800,000 in total. Sniper Elite 3 for PS4 did really well in its debut week. 30,000 plus copies for the week as well. The game as a whole did a fairly decent opening. Then you got the Minecraft for 360 and PS3, 3 and 4. Another 27,000 plus copies for each of them. Sniper Elite 3 for Xbox One came in 5th with 26,000 copies. Tomodachi Life for 3DS has had a late surge of late. It's 6th for the week with 25,000 plus copies. EA Sports UFC has done really well. It is 7th in PS4 for the week with 23,000 plus copies. Pokemon X and Y coming in 8th with just under 20,000. Then you have Sniper Elite 3 for 360 coming in 9th with 17,000 plus copies. And then Watch Dogs for PS4 comes in 10th with 16,000 plus copies for the week as well. In terms of hardware, the Xbox One wins the week, but only barely. About 39,000 units sold compared to the PS4, more than 38,000. Still as a whole, though, PS4 way out ahead here in the United States and globally by about 550,000 units. 3DS came in 3rd for the week, Wii U 4th, an 11% increase for the Wii U. The console is probably having its best success ever now of late, and 360 came in 5th. In terms of the overall numbers, let's see if I can't pull that up here real quick. Oh, shoot. Can't answer that right now.
He thought you were never going to get this. He went to work and he told me, hey, you got to go see the doctor down at the Kansas City Cancer Center. And then, once you get to the diagnosis, you have a brief moment, and then it's like, okay, give me the odds and tell me what I got to do to get out of here. Chuck Regano, we had George Donovan with us in the studio a couple weeks ago.
Hang on, I'm just right now trying to pull up the numbers here. Okay, here we go. Alrighty. So in terms of the recent numbers as a whole, really my observations based on the chart. Again, number one game for the week is Mario Kart 8. The game has done obviously wonders for the console. I mean, you can increase 11%. That's huge. So that was a huge step. Titanfall has finally peaked after 17 weeks on the market in terms of its total sales. But by the end of the year, it's probably going to remain a top 10 sales game overall. EA Sports UFC is on a tear and has eclipsed 400,000 copies in merely 3 weeks. That puts it 6th overall for the year. Now, it would not shock me based on that if it ends up cracking the top 5. Because I tell you what, it does not trail South Park's peak by much. So it's going to continue to do well. Minecraft for PS3 has cracked the top 10. That surprises nobody. We knew it was going to do well. Whenever the next-gen console version is released, like the Xbox One and the PS4, it's going to do just as well, if not better. Tomodachi Life for 3DS, it really doubled its sales over 3 weeks. I was honestly stunned. Apparently the scandal has completely been forgotten because people are still buying the game like crazy. Now, could it possibly catch Yoshi's New Island? Sure, I think it could potentially do that if it keeps climbing this fast. Now, if it catches Kirby Triple Deluxe, that would be an accomplishment. And speaking of that, that game's finally peaked in sales. So it fell just short of 200,000 copies. Sniper Elite 3, that opened to a kind of a lukewarm debut of 86,457 copies over the 4 platforms. For me, I think it would be an accomplishment if it hit over 200,000 based on that. And continuing the usual trend of Transformers games that are being nothing but major disappointments, the new game, Rise of the Dark Spark, didn't even crack the top 30 in sales for any platform. So, big shocker there. The movies still do well, but the games don't. So, that's just kind of an ongoing trend. There won't be a whole lot of new games out for a while this month, although Last of Us Remastered for PS4 comes out on the 29th of July, so that would be huge. August is going to be a big month, so as the time goes on, then we'll start seeing bigger and bigger releases. We're kind of in a lull period, though, right now. So Watch Dogs is still the top seller for the year, just barely over 2 million copies in 6 weeks, 2,197,857 copies. That's about 400,000 copies ahead of Titanfall's peak. Mario Kart 8 is at barely above 800,000. It will likely eclipse 1 million copies. I would be shocked if it didn't. It would definitely be an accomplishment if it eclipses the peak sale of Titanfall. That would definitely be a huge accomplishment for Mario Kart 8. EA Sports UFC is at 423,720 copies in its 3-week period. It could end up being the number 5 game again by maybe even the number 4 by the end of the year. Minecraft for PS3 is at 331,992 copies. Again, that makes it the 10th best game so far of the year. Tomodachi Life is now at 112,405. It's 60,000 copies shy of Yoshi's New Island. It'll be close, I think, if it catches that. It'll be very, very close, but not completely sure. We'll see about that, whether it makes that or not. Now, if it catches Kirby, which peaked out at 195,466, that would be a huge accomplishment for that game. That kind of got off to a rough start. Sniper Elite, again, the 86,457 copies in its debut. Certainly, I think it's going to eclipse 100,000 copies. Again, if it gets to 200,000, that'll be a stretch. But we'll see what happens with that. And then again, after that, really, it's drop off. Everyone else is outside the top 30. So again, a lot to look forward to in the months to come with video games. Again, with the Plugged In series, what I'm going to try to do, I'm going to try and over a kind of an every other week basis, try to do a chart breakdown. Now that fantasy football season is here, now that football's around the corner, I'm going to try to do the Plugged In on an every other week basis. So the next video, let me go ahead and mark this on my calendar so I don't forget. Let's see, it would be this week right here. It would kind of be the last week of July. Oops, I bumped the desk there. So that will probably be when the next video is. It will probably be on Tuesday the 29th is what I'm going to try to shoot for to do the next Plugged In video. So, and hopefully I won't be as sickly by then, still recovering. So, as you can probably tell with the voice, so and the coughing. So, so that will probably be in this ear. So that will probably be the next video that will be up. Will be on Tuesday the 29th. Okay, real quick. Last thing. ESPY Awards. The ESPY Awards are tonight on ESPN at 9 o'clock. I'm definitely going to be watching them. I voted yesterday for the different categories. They're hosted by Drake, I believe, this year. Good host. Drake's always at a lot of sporting events. Excuse me.
In 2012, I was diagnosed with APL, a form of leukemia. I wasn't in Indianapolis more than 7 or 8 months max before I was diagnosed with leukemia. I drew inspiration not only from all the love and support from the community, the NFL community, my family, but the team, the organization, the players, and the coaches, and what they did week in and week out on the football field, and just watching from down the street. Simon Cancer Center. That was the best medicine that I could have ever received.
Okay.
So there's nothing more than faith and family to get you through. With that, I just say, never, ever give up. No matter what the odds are, do whatever we can and we must. Do whatever's necessary.
Now, some of these they give are like the noteworthy categories. I have the complete list. Like Best Male Athlete, the nominees are Peyton Manning, Miguel Cabrera, Kevin Durant, Floyd Mayweather. I voted for Peyton Manning. I think, based on the year he had last year, they won the Super Bowl. I think he's going to be a favorite to win that. Best female athlete, Maya Moore, Ronda Rousey, Michaela Schifrin, Brianna Stewart. I voted for Brianna Stewart of the Connecticut women's basketball team. I mean, come on, 40-0, perfect regular season national championship. I think that's huge. Best championship performance, Jimmy Johnson, Kawhi Leonard, Shabazz Napier, David Ortiz. I voted for Shabazz Napier, Connecticut. The fact that UConn was just a surprising winner of that NCAA tournament as a 7th seed, he carried that team to win it all, I think. I think Kawhi Leonard certainly could win that as well, but I was so impressed by Napier's performance, I voted for him. Best breakthrough athlete, Nick Foles, Damian Lillard, Richard Sherman, Masahiro Tanaka. I voted for Richard Sherman, Legion of Boom, the Seahawks. He could win. I certainly think maybe Foles could win for how he came out of nowhere to take over the Philly offense. So that could go a number of different ways. Best upset, Connecticut wins the national championship for the men. Mercer over Duke and Wyman over Silva UFC. I voted for Mercer over Duke. I mean, come on, anytime Duke loses, I'm happy. So, so I've obviously voted for that one. Best game, this was a tough one. Best game is a tough category to vote for. Alabama-Auburn Iron Bowl, the Chris Davis 109-yard touchdown return. The Chiefs-Colts wildcard playoff game where Kansas City was up 31-10. I thought the game was, or 38-10. I thought the game was over. Colts come back, win 45-44. Or the Rangers-Kings Stanley Cup Final Game 5 where the Kings scored in double overtime to win the Stanley Cup. I voted obviously for Colts-Chiefs because I thought that game was over. I thought, there's no way. It's 38-10. Kansas City's been dominating. This game is over. Focus on next year. And then all of a sudden, the Colts start coming back, and I'm watching my TV going, wah. It was just completely stunning to me. Any one of those games could win that award, but I voted for Chiefs-Colts. Best team, Red Sox, UConn women's basketball, Florida State football, the LA Kings, the Spurs, the Seahawks. I voted for the Seahawks. Again, any one of those teams could win that award, but just the way that Seattle did it, the way that they, were able to just their offense dominant, their defense dominant. I was so impressed with Seattle. And the job that Pete Carroll has done there. That's why I voted for them. Best coach and manager, Gino Auriemma, UConn women's basketball, Pete Carroll of the Seahawks, John Farrell of the Red Sox, Kevin Ollie of the UConn men's team, and Greg Popovich. A lot of good candidates in that category, too. Any one of those guys could win this award. I voted for Kevin Ollie of UConn because, again, what UConn was able to do with that impressive run to the tournament, I was definitely impressed. I could see Carroll winning it. I could see Popovich winning it. A lot of different potential winners in that group. And then best comeback athlete, Josh Beckett, Sidney Crosby, Dominic Moore, Russell Westbrook. I voted for Dominic Moore of the Rangers. I would have liked to vote for Crosby because I'm a Penguin fan. He's one of my favorite players. But the way that the Rangers responded to the fact that Dominic Moore lost his mom during the playoffs, and the way that they rallied around him and played so hard and then got to the Stanley Cup final, I thought was an awesome story. So that's why I voted for him to win that award. One not listed there, like best moment is on there. I think I voted for the USA, the goal against Ghana, the game-winning goal over Ghana with John Brooks. That was just a huge moment for U.S. soccer. Best play, I voted, I think, for the 109-yard kickoff return in the Iron Bowl for Auburn to beat Alabama. And then you got your other categories like best NFL player, best NBA, best MLB, NHL, all those different categories. I think best NBA player I voted for LeBron. No shocker. Or either LeBron or Durant. I think I voted Durant. I didn't vote LeBron. I voted Durant. NHL player, I think I voted for Crosby. Best driver, Ryan Hunter-Reay. I voted for him for winning the Indy 500, American driver. Best fighter, I voted for Floyd Mayweather. Best bowler, I voted for Pete Weber. I mean, come on. The guy's like, 70, 80-plus years old, and he's still doing amazing on the lanes. Come on now. Best jockey, I voted for Victor Espinoza. Won 2 of the 3 Triple Crown races aboard California Chrome. Best MLS player, I voted for Tim Cahill, the Aussie. He was the only one I knew on the list, actually. Let's see. And then after that, a lot of these other categories: best male Olympian, best female Olympian, best international athlete, best WNBA player. I think I voted for Maya Moore. Best male golfer, I voted for Bubba Watson, Masters winner. Best female golfer, I voted for Michelle Wie, just won the U.S. Women's Open. Best male tennis player, I voted for Novak Djokovic, just won Wimbledon. Best female tennis player, I think I voted for either Serena or Maria Sharapova, not sure which. Then you got best male college athlete, best female college athlete. Then you've got the male athlete disability, best female athlete with disability, and then the Action Sports Awards, and then the best player, which I talked about. So, a lot to look forward to at tonight's ESPYs. I'll be tracking this all night. 9 o'clock tonight on ESPN. Drake's hosting. Should be a great night. I think they're honoring Stuart Scott for the Arthur Ashe Courage Award for overcoming his cancer. Of course, it's ESPY Day today on the various ESPN shows are benefiting the B Foundation for cancer research. I've donated in the past. I tell you what, I've lost a lot of people in my life, family, friends, to cancer. If any amount helps, if we can get closer to finding a cure, with any amount of money we can get, any time, any day, second we can get closer to a cure, would be huge. So whatever you can give, go to ESPN, go to Jimmy V's website, and donate for cancer research. Trust me, it is something you'll feel very, very good about that you do. So just make sure you do that if cancer's affected you in any way. So just whatever you can give helps. All right, that's it, guys, for this video. I really struggled through this with the way that I felt. I really feel like I just want to take a nap right now. But thank you guys again for your understanding. Thank you guys so much again for your views, your subscribers, your follows. I appreciate that as well. Again, if you have any comments on fantasy drafts or the video games or whatever, the ESPYs, you can leave them on the comment page below. You can leave them on the channel. I will try to get to them as soon as I can. So just thank you guys again so much for your support and your understanding. And I hope to see you guys in a couple weeks when I do another plugged in video. And then when the NFL season starts, we will of course resume the Fantasy Football Stock Report, full gear, gung ho, exciting as always. Who you should play, who you shouldn't, who you should pick up, all that excitement as always of the FFSR. So again, thank you. God bless you guys, and have a good week. Take care. Thanks.